I'll do that next week and every week until we deliver that.
People carrying these placards around here, they are at the risk of fairly long terms of imprisonment for standing with a placard. Where is freedom gone?
I'm here today protesting the actions of the British government who have proscribed Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation.
The comparisons and the likenesses between Ireland and Palestine by the same oppressor are so similar that I think it's in our DNA to support Palestine.
And the idea that the British government have banned an organisation and made them a terrorist organisation for protesting a genocide is utterly ridiculous.
People not only have a right, they have a moral duty and they have a legal duty to do everything they can to prevent a genocide.
My name's Kate Nash. I'm here today protesting the actions of the British government who have proscribed Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. I think that's, I'm saying unfair, but actually it's more than that. Unfair would be a mild word to describe it, you know. It's a government who obviously is trying to take away freedom of speech, basically, from its citizens. To me, it's a broken, we have a broken government, you know, and in fact, many of the governments around the world are broken, or they're either broken or they're cowards, you know, and they don't want to stand up to Israel. I'm not sure what it is, but on behalf of the people who in their millions are telling them, you know, we want this stopped. We want this war on these people, the slaughter of Palestinian people. We want it stopped. I mean, and it's still ceasefire. What ceasefire? They were being attacked all around Gaza, all over the place, not saying what they're actually doing in the West Bank. You know, where they're burning people's homes, torching them out, and they're killing people, settlers, backed, of course, by the IDF, you know. So it's disgraceful what Israel's doing, absolutely.
My name is Amanda Crawford. I'm a theatre actor and director from Dublin originally, but I now live in southwest Donegal. The ban means that a place, is particularly in the north of Ireland, where people have been fighting repression for their political viewpoint and for the freedom of their country from British occupation, that threat is now hanging over them again after a supposed political settlement. And the people are now in fear if they express their opinions about a genocide going on, that they will be arrested and imprisoned. It's unconscionable that people can't protest against genocide and be labelled terrorist. Well, I'm in my 70s now, and I've been a supporter of Palestine for 50 years, I suppose, back to the early 70s. You know, Ireland has had virtually 800 years of occupation, repression, our language being banned, our religion being banned, ownership of our land being taken away. So the comparisons and the likenesses between Ireland and Palestine by the same oppressor, by Britain, and now by Israel, backed up by Britain and by now America, are so similar that I think it's in our DNA to support Palestine because of the similarity.
I suppose you have to remember this is a city, Derry, that has been through many years of protest. Protests were banned in the 60s during the civil rights movement. People were beaten off the street by police, but people still kept going and kept marching because the cause was too big and too important to be told that it was illegal by any government. And the idea that the British government have banned an organisation and made them a terrorist organisation for protesting a genocide is utterly ridiculous. You know, if individuals are involved in illegal activity, that's fine, charge them under that. But it's not the same as saying that they're terrorists. And we know a lot about terrorism in Northern Ireland. Elderly people wearing a Palestine Action t-shirt are getting scooped up and arrested. It makes no sense. And actually it's putting the police in a terrible position as well. I was one of very few people in Parliament who voted against the prescribing of Palestine Action because it made no sense.
You were involved in a protest last year for which you were arrested. Could you speak a bit about that here in Derry?
Well, we were arrested because we were told it was an illegal march, but we marched down a street where the vast majority of people in this city were supporting the Palestinian cause, opposing the genocide. We caused no trouble or no offence to anybody. But the police and the prosecution service decided this was a worthwhile way to spend their time. I mean, what we were doing was protesting a bigger crime, a more important crime, a war crime and continuous war crimes against the people of Palestine. For me, that takes precedent. Derry is very strongly pro-Palestinian because we're pro anybody who's been oppressed around the world, because we understand what that's like. People here had to march just to get the right to vote in council elections. They had to march for the right to have a house and have a job. And people are always standing in solidarity with the Palestinians and other causes around the world. You'll see lots of people in their 80s and 90s who were around and younger who were around during the civil rights movement. Many of them were leaders of the civil rights movement, and they see that solidarity, that global solidarity, as being important. And what's really interesting is seeing so many young people joining those kind of civil rights veterans and keeping the flame going.
My name's Eamon McCann. I'm an organiser, assistant organiser of the campaign in solidarity with the Palestinian people here in Derry. Well, I'm here because I think that what's happening in Palestine, and the murder being inflicted by the Israeli Defence Forces on the indigenous people of Palestine and the attempts to force them out, and senior members of the Israeli government no longer are hesitant, no longer make any bones about the fact that their objective is to drive the Palestinian people into the sea or to kill them, so that they can take over Palestinian land. But that is something which, should, give rise to a tidal wave of anger. They should be urging the British Labour Party and and the Southern government should be telling people, come on to the streets, make your voice heard. Don't let Ireland down. Don't let Britain down. Don't let France down. Come out and demonstrate and show that you care about humanity, so that humanity might, when you need it, care about you. Well, there is, at a very simple level, a connection between what's happening in Palestine now and what was happening in Northern Ireland back then. I have to say that what's happening in Palestine is more extreme than anything we in Ireland have experienced. And that puts all the heavier duty upon us to stand forth with the Palestinian people. And the causes are, if not exactly the same, the causes of the civil rights movement in Ireland and the cause of the Palestinian people today are in alignment. They're parallel. They are the same causes. But when we gather here today, we are following in a long tradition of solidarity, a long tradition of calling people onto the streets to stand with us. I can remember demonstrating for the Black Panthers here on this spot. And I can recall demonstrating over and over again with the people of France when they were facing a repression in the early 1970s. And we should stand now and welcome the support, which we are getting from around the world. We are not getting it from the ruling class. We are not getting it from established governments. But everywhere you look, there are people standing with us and standing with the people of Palestine as we stand here today. That's what we must continue. If we can shift the situation in Palestine, even by 1 inch towards freedom for the Palestinian people, then we'll have done good. We'll have done well here in Ireland. The ban of Palestine Action here is in line with many bans issued in Northern Ireland, because we have a history of repression here, of course. And people carrying these placards around here, they are at the risk of fairly long terms of imprisonment for standing with a placard. Where is freedom gone? Where is freedom gone?
Hello, my name is Maureen McNally. I am 75 years old. I am the mother of 7 children and the grandmother of 12 children.
So you were arrested for wearing a Palestine Action t-shirt in August. Could you describe what happened and how the police responded?
I heard that one of Palestine activists, had been cautioned for wearing a Palestine Action t-shirt, and that there were 2 more men at the wall wearing Palestine Action t-shirt. So I went over and I stood with them, and the police come over and they cautioned the 2 men, and they asked them the names and addresses. They cautioned them. Then they asked me my name and address. I gave my name and address in Irish. They told me I had to speak English. So one police officer come over and was insisting that I speak English. And this must have aggravated the other police officer, because he immediately came over and arrested me under Section 13 of the Terrorist Act. And when he had said he was arresting me under that section, I lay down on the floor and said, I won't be going peacefully. You'll have to carry me into the police vehicle, which they did.
Why was there that reaction to you speaking Irish?
I do not know. It's something, as many things that we fought for, the right to speak our own language. So I was very infuriated that they wouldn't accept my name and address, because I actually translated it into English for him. But he still wanted me. He said, what does this mean? What does that mean? You know, I live in my address. So I told him the address, what it was in English and Irish. And he said, you have to tell me it in English. You have to speak English or we'll arrest you. But then the other policeman, he'd went away and took his phone out and Googled the T-shirt and came and arrested me under Section 13. Palestine Action is now designated as a terrorist organisation. So our objection is that it's not a terrorist organisation on the grounds of the genocide that's happening in Gaza. So people not only have a right, they have a moral duty and they have a legal duty to do everything they can to prevent a genocide. So this idea of now making it a terrorist offence, it has different implications over here, because the peace process, a lot of terrorist organisations are no longer pursued by the police. Like the IRA, the UVF are no longer being pursued by the police. So I could wear a T-shirt with any prescribed organisation in the northern part of Ireland, but I can't wear a Palestine Action T-shirt. So it doesn't make any sense. And also our rights were protected under the Good Friday Agreement. When I was 17, I was in the civil rights movement. We fought against oppressive legislation, we fought against the Special Powers Act, we fought against discrimination in government. When my father was arrested, I fought and I protested and I was politically active against internment, which is exact as administrative detention in Israel. Arrest, no trial, no jury, no sentence. There'll be a lot of people of my generation that hold rights that we fought for dear, and we won't allow them to be eroded. We will not allow them rights to be taken from our children and grandchildren. We fought for them, they're hard won, and they're hard to maintain as well sometimes. So we have to keep fighting for them. And what happened with Palestinian Action is an erosion of basic human rights law.